talking about Indian diaspora. You've actually written a book, Desi Diaspora. I mean, you've got some other books out now that are talking about these Asian diaspora communities, but this is ministry among scattered global Indian Christians, because we see a lot of Indians. I know in my sphere of influence and where I live, there are a lot of different Indian communities that are there. I can go to watch a soccer or football game, American soccer, and you'll see everyone there is speaking Hindi or Malayali, and I don't think, though, that the people that I interact with on a normal basis are familiar with this group. We know that there are Indians everywhere we go. Some of the most educated CEOs we see in the tech industry, we see in the medical industry, we see in even food service, running restaurants, so on and so forth. As you said, there was a shift in 1965. But about how many Indians do we see living in, and let's just say the United States right now? How many Indians are living in the United States roughly?
Yeah, we crossed 2020 census, we crossed 5 million.
Okay.
We are the second largest after the Chinese. Chinese are the largest immigrant group from Asia. Of course, Spanish Mexico is the largest immigrant, people in the United States. Right. And of course, they have been coming over a century or so. Asian immigrant began in 1965 and onwards. And so currently, as of 2020 census, which came out early 2022, American Community Survey data shows that Indian Americans reached close to 5.1 million. So if you include the larger South Asian population, South Asia is the continent of Indian subcontinent, which includes India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Maldives. So these are the 7 nations in and around India. They are largely clubbed together as South Asian or the Indian subcontinent. And all of them were under the British rule. After the British left, they were broken up into several nations. And so that region, there is a nearly 5.5 million people in the US. But Indians particularly stand out. They are the most educated, wealthiest minority in America right now.
And I mean, as you said, they're most educated. You're right. We see, again, across all these different industries. What's the religious makeup, and what percentage of this group is Christian?
Around 20%. So almost 1 million Indians are Christians because of early waves in late 60s and early 70s. It is often called as the healthcare wave. America had a shortage of nurses and doctors. The healthcare system was faltering, and after there was no nurses, and hospital system was falling apart. And so they needed, medical professionals. And so they brought large number of them from Philippines and then India. So nurses and medical doctors, large number of them came in the late 60s and early 70s. And so that healthcare industry, Christian presence was very high in India because a lot of the medical institutions and hospitals were all created by the missionary who came from the West, from America, from England, from Germany, and others. And so many Indians won't send their daughters to study, in college or even professional fields like nursing, because nursing was a very, disregarded or, profession of disrepute. And because you had to touch somebody else's man, a woman is not supposed to touch anybody else because they'll defile them. And
in Hinduism, or is that culturally or religiously, or
religious and cultural beliefs?
Okay.
And they had to be homebound and committed, devoted to their husband, and not touch blood. Blood will make you impure. Touching another man will make you impure and unfaithful to your husband. And all of those kind of, very age-old superstition and religious beliefs confine people from pursuing these careers. It is the Christian families who send their daughters to study medicine and doctor and nursing and all that. So when America needed nurses, it is the Christian belt that they send from Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Gujarat and other places where many who came in the first wave of Indians were Christians. Nearly 60% of Indians in the 60s were Christians, and then gradually it declined. But as of 2022, the total among all the immigrants who have come to America, 5+ million, 20%. And so that's nearly 1 million Christians. They are spread over some 1,500 churches in every state across the country.
Now, with the 20% being Christian, that means 80% are Hindu.
No.
And,
50,
Hindu. Oh, that's right.
50% or so are Hindus.
50% are Hindus. So the rest would be like Muslim, Jainist, Buddhist.
Sikh, people who wear turban. It's Sikhism is a faith. It's not S-I-K-H. Some of my American, friends don't even know about this religion. They think Sikh people. It's not. It is the religion of Sikhism.
Do you know this guy, Light of the Sadguru? Do you know him?
Yeah.
Jasveer. I'd like to have Jasveer on the show.
And so Sikhism is a religion, that also grew up in India in protest to Hindu traditions. Jainism is another religion. And of course, India is also a large Islamic community, and also Bangladesh and Pakistan. So many have come from those regions as well. And but smaller percentage. And the second largest Indian religious affiliation is to Christianity, and the first being Hinduism.
Number one is Hinduism. And but how does that work then? I thought they were defiled if they flew over the ocean. How's that work?
Yeah. So, there's also the idea of, land of gold and, opportunity. They were educated populace. India couldn't employ them. There was not enough opportunities. Higher studies, 70s and 80s. In the late 70s, there was an Indian-American scientist who got Nobel Prize. That kind of really rocked the Indian world. And we only had found, India had only got one Nobel Prize before that. It was for literature. And here is a science and technology guy, astrophysicist, who got a Nobel Prize for his invention. And that kind of set the American academia, hey, there are good scientific minds in India, in engineering and maths. And so 70s and 80s, American universities started hunting for young men and women to come and study graduate studies and do doctoral researches in America. So millions of them came over 70s and 80s, and they become the brain power of some of the innovations in the medical science and technology, Wall Street, academia in America. And so the brightest of the brightest young men and women were brought to America, taught them in the American academics, research and scientific methodologies, and they become subsequently, great inventors, business leaders, and entrepreneurs. And so Google chief is Indian, Microsoft chief is Indian, Adobe, and IBM. All of them being headed by Indians now. These are the cream of the cream from India, and some of the best education they got in India, they brought here. They went to top schools in America, and they got hired by American company, and they're delivering big time to the economy here and to their cultural influence in America, because that's why they're wealthiest and the most educated ethnic minority, much like the Jewish people were in the early 20th century. And now Indians are the cream of the cream in America.